wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, but there's logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me.
What up, what up, what up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world. It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan. I got my super dope co-host with me, Adam Costas. It is the real deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro, baby. What up, everybody? It is your boy Mac the Giants fan here. Another good afternoon here with the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. My co-host Adam Costas is unfortunately experiencing some technical difficulties, so we're going to get back on here in 1 minute. I just got to get him situated, so just give me 1 quick second, folks, and bear with me. Here, it's going to be 1 minute. Let me get him situated, send him a link, get back on here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Oh, boy, what is happening right now? Where are we at? Here we go. Sorry, folks. I do apologize. I do definitely apologize for the delay, but give me 1 second, get my guy situated here, because this is going to be one hell of a show. I do promise you all that. All right, there we go. Adam should be back here shortly. But it's been a crazy weekend here in the NFC East, man. Been one of those, another weekend of a lot going on, man. Interesting ongoings, and as we know, the New York Giants took a monumental L on Sunday to those Philadelphia Eagles, and the Philadelphia Eagles just look like they are a pretty unstoppable force right now. It's like the only thing getting in the Eagles' way is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, to be quite frank. I'm not saying that just because they blew us out. I'm just saying it because it's the way they've been pretty much handling everybody all season. They've had a couple close calls, and they obviously did even lose one, but it's a very phenomenal football team, well put together, and it looks like the only thing stopping them from the Lombardi, or at least from representing the NFC, in the Super Bowl is going to be themselves. On the other hand, Dallas Cowboys, as y'all know, man, got into a dog fight. Had a dog fight on Sunday, man, against some Houston Texans, and there's my guy back right now, Adam Costas, man. How you feeling today, Adam? This afternoon, man.
I'm good. Sorry about the technical difficulties, people. I was getting hyped by the music, and then my computer decided it was going to crash out. I was trying to get really hyped for the show with that intro that Mac put on. So, but I'm back now. Everything's good. Technical difficulties are solved.
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna start the show off at too. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go down to Dallas. This is the battle of Texas right here. Battle of Texas. Houston Texans, Dallas Cowboys, the worst team in football, the Houston Texans, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who technically have the second best record in football. The only team with a better record than the Cowboys are the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a few other teams with the same record.
Eagles.
There are a few other teams with the same record, but only one team has a better record. So the Dallas Cowboys have the second best record in the league. They was going against the worst team in the league, the Houston Texans, and they had a long day. They got quite the scare down there in Big D and Jerry's world, man. Houston Texans almost rolled out of there with a victory against the Cowboys, and that would have been very disruptive to the Cowboys' momentum and the Cowboys' season as things stand right now, where they still have a chance to legitimately catch the Philadelphia Eagles. So how you feel about this one, Adam?
It was one of those games where a lot of people are talking on both sides of the aisle, like, "Oh, Cowboys stink. They shouldn't have been this close." And for the first time, the Texans got up for a game in a while, and I think the Cowboys were overlooking them. You're playing a lot of booty ass teams. You just blew one team out the week prior, and then you come and play this game, and you're like, "Oh, another 1 in fucking 10 football team. We're just going to run over them." In the Texans, talk about, this is what people talk about any given Sunday. Sometimes you never know who's going to show up when, and the Texans decided they wanted to show up, gave the Cowboys all that they could handle. I'm just saying, wow. And, the Cowboys did what the Cowboys needed to do in the end. The better team won, right? The better team that, even though they had mistakes and penalties, the better team won. But there's something we should talk about the Cowboys once we're done discussing this game. Mac?
I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry. I apologize.
I said that there's one thing we can talk about after this game, after we discuss this game, that is starting to come out that may make a game down the road a little exciting.
Absolutely. But this Cowboys team, they came in there. Obviously, ultimately, the cream did rise to the top. They did get out with the W. The better team found a way late in the game, pull things together, and get the job done, man. But this still wasn't. You still wanted. This not what the kind of performance you wanted to see from the Dallas Cowboys coming at this stage of the season. You wanted to see the Cowboys go down there and steamroll a team that they absolutely should have. And I'm sure if they play it again next week, the Cowboys will probably throw 50 points up on them. That's just the way it is. Like Adam just said, on any given Sunday, this game was the ultimate mantra on any given Sunday means, man. These guys Houston showed up, and it had something the Cowboys weren't quite ready for, man. And they almost snuck one in there. But ultimately, it just didn't have enough in the tank to hang with the Dallas Cowboys late in this game, and the Cowboys, like you said, came away with the W. So, but one thing the Cowboys went out and did after this game, I was curious about. They was wanting to sign T.Y. Hilton, wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, and I'm not sure what he's expected to come in there and do for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not sure what they're expecting to get out of a guy that's barely played football for the last couple of years. I mean, he's been injured like crazy for the last couple of years, so I'm not sure exactly what they're expecting from T.Y. Hilton here, or what they think they're going to get. I don't even see if he's the kind of guy they necessarily needed. I think they need somebody that right now can be more of a game breaker. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's a good vet, wily vet, but I'm not sure. I'm still not so sure what he's expected to provide for this Dallas Cowboy team down the stretch here. But we're gonna find out. I don't know what kind of role.
How about T.Y. Hilton?
Yes, T.Y. Hilton.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what T.Y. Hilton's been doing. Was he on the couch eating potato chips? I mean, who knows? What do they need him for? Didn't they just activate James Washington? Like, didn't he just come back from being injured? So I don't understand. I don't necessarily not understand the move, but I guess you're adding more firepower to an already potent offense. I guess I don't know who. I don't know why this move was made unless someone's injured that we don't know about, or they just want an extra guy out there to kind of help.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like I said, after the last couple of years, last action I've seen from T.Y. Hilton, he's just not that guy he was 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Are we expecting him to be that in Dallas? Like, I don't.
I don't either. I just don't see it. I haven't seen it his last couple of years in Indianapolis. I just haven't seen that. I mean, I know
watch him come out and be a beast now.
I know they've had some shaky quarterback play in Indianapolis, but I mean, this guy has been mostly injured. Just hasn't been that productive. Just hasn't been that guy as of late.
And he was a good player. He's one of those guys we don't ever really talk about in the top receivers, but he was a top receiver for a few years in the league. Borderline Hall of Famer.
Great connection. Him and Andrew Luck had a great connection going on down there, man. And I don't know. But right at this point, I might have to believe and see what. I don't know if the Cowboys are just kind of desperate and want to figure out a way to try to keep pace with the Eagles, and they just want to just bring a bunch of guys in. But see, the guys the Eagles are bringing in that's made sense. The Eagles haven't made a move that hasn't made sense to me at all. I hate God. Why are we back to praising the Eagles? But I can't help it. They've done so magnificent with everything they've done. It's just like a master class in how you form a team. I mean, it's like a master class in how you form a team, and I haven't had to scratch my head at any of the Eagles moves. Every single move they've made, calculated, it's made sense. It just fits into things they need. Like when they've added the Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph to the interior of their defense, help out with that run support. Those things make sense. Those were sensible moves. That it's not just a good team adding more guys just for the hell of it. This T.Y. Hilton move almost feels like we're just adding this guy because he used to be an all-pro receiver, and hopefully he can still do something for us. I don't know if that's what they're expecting out of this move, man. But
I don't know. It's like A.J. Green to me in Arizona, where the guy's a bit washed up. He's a good player, but you have Gallup, you have C.D. Lamb, you just got James Washington, you have Dalton Schultz. And another tight end I think over there that's playing well too. What are you getting at here? Are you trying to have a secret weapon? All of a sudden T.Y. Hilton's going to come in and put us over the top. I mean, I get it. They're looking for a receiver, obviously, in the Odell market, and everyone's blowing that up. Odell's not coming here for the rest of the year, so who cares, people? I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that move next offseason, but I agree with you. I don't understand why this late in the year you're bringing him in when you got a couple guys back and your team seems to be humming. Do you not trust Dak Prescott? I don't know, man. And Dak Prescott's, being challenged, I think, by Cowboy fans and fans across the league, as in this guy is a game manager. And, I don't know, maybe he's playing with an injured thumb. Maybe the new offense, maybe just he's being lackadaisical, but I do believe this guy still has some talent. He is playing. I know he is taking more risks. That's why you're seeing more interceptions, but we'll see.
I mean, my only beef with Dak Prescott has been like literally just the fact that I need to see this guy really win a big game when it counts, get in the postseason and win a big one when it matters. I mean, I feel like he chokes away a lot of the big games, but he definitely has been a reliable quarterback all through the regular season. His record speaks for itself. I mean, so I don't think Dak is nowhere. I don't think Dak is he's definitely more than a game manager, but I need to see him. To take that next step, he needs to win a big one when it counts. And like I said, I don't think this T.Y. Hilton move is necessarily going to help him be some kind of secret weapon. But we could all be wrong. T.Y. Hilton might come out there and be back to form like he was. Who knows? We had to see. But
sometimes, you go to a place and it rejuvenates your career. Sometimes you go to a place and you're just sucking money out of the team. We'll find out which is the case here. The guy's 33 years old. T.Y. Hilton. I mean, he's not like a young buck anymore. Again, it's not like he's 25. Um, so there are some concerns for me that, the guy like this coming off the bench, like look at Brandon Stokely for the Giants back in the day. He came in off the street, Giants hired him, and then boom, week 2, he blew out his hamstring. So I'm not saying that will happen to T.Y. Hilton, but how is this for the playoff run? Because basically you have a month left in the season. There are 4 games left. 4 games. So you're obviously getting this. You're obviously hoping for a deep playoff run, and you're hoping that he can put you over the top because this is the only reason you get this move.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, what's up in the chat? The Philly Sports Talk podcast. My boy Philly B, AK. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for hanging out with us right now this afternoon, man. But yeah, I'm just shit. Well, like I said, this Cowboy team it's a good team. I'm not going to take anything away from them. I think honestly, right now they probably are the biggest threat to the Eagles in this conference, and that's still yet to be determined. But
That'll
we'll
be
see.
good.
We'll see how it goes. We're gonna get a big showdown game with those guys next week. That's gonna definitely be fun to watch, man. And but as far as this Dallas team, I mean, like I said, they got out this game on Sunday playing against a bad football team, found a way to still bring it home, get the job done. And at the end of the day, that's ultimately all that matters. It doesn't really matter how you do it, how you get the W. It's just all about the W, and they still managed to do that at the end of the day. And people have been clowning the Cowboys the last couple of days, but at the end of the day, they still got a W. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it was against the worst team in the league, and it took that effort to beat the Houston Texans, a game in which they were 17-point favorites in, by the way. But at the end of the day, look, AK, man, at the end of the day, man, you got to still have a little bit of respect for what this team can do, is capable of doing, man. I'm not saying they're going to knock y'all off because at this point, I think the Eagles are legitimately the best, and it's going to take the Eagles to fuck up for them in order, pretty much, and going to cost themselves more so than anything else than what anybody can do to them. But at the same time, I mean, the Cowboys, they're still right in contention right there. Technically, if y'all have some kind of, for whatever reason or another, lose a couple of games, the Cowboys, man, can catch y'all, man. Y'all don't have them mathematically put away yet, man. So at the end of the day, I just believe that they do have a lot of talent down there in Dallas, and they're possibly the biggest threat to the Eagles. Possibly. We'll see how the postseason will be right around the corner, man. And both of those teams are definitely going to be in it. So we'll find out, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got much more on this game. So.
Yeah, me neither, man. That game was not much, but we got an awful lot on this one here. Oh boy, do we got an awful lot on this one here. We know what happened on Sunday. But I'm going to relive it for one moment. The New York Giants hosted their division rival Philadelphia Eagles, about 80 or so miles down the turnpike. And the Eagles came into MetLife Stadium and absolutely kicked the New York Giants' teeth in. 48-22. Was never a competitive game. It was never in doubt for the Eagles. The Eagles steamrolled the Giants immediately from the beginning. Looked like an absolute practice session. It looked like one of those fan fest scrimmages that let's fans come out to the game, to the scrimmage, watch us display our offense. You can see the kind of things we're going to be doing this season. It looked like something like that, where they were just out there flinging the ball all over the place, running the ball right down the Giants' throat, doing absolutely whatever they wanted to do. There was no point in time where their backs against the wall that they feel threatened that the Giants were going to beat them here. It was just an absolute joke of a game. The New York Giants disappointed me about as much as they have in a long time. And we've been through some bad years the last few years, but this game here, we weren't ready. We didn't belong on the same field as the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, man. They were in a whole completely different class than we were. And this is coming from me, obviously, Mac the Giants fan. I am a hardcore Giants fan. But look, I can admit the truth. And the truth is we got our asses handed to us. And it was just no excuse. Not even the injuries aren't an excuse for lack of effort. And I feel like we just laid down and accepted the loss before the game even kicked off. I mean, just the mental mistakes, just the things that was going on. This game, I could go on and on and on, but I'm gonna let my guy jump in here for a minute because I just can't. This game here, man. Oof.
Mac, you know how I came on your stream hot. And I've been trying to sequester the energy for the last 2 days, but I'm pretty fired up. But I'm going to tell you why. I'll tell you why. Here's why I'm fired up. Because last week in this same forum, we had people in the chat calling me crazy when I said we were going to get the doors blown off. I said, we are not ready to play this team. This team is going to absolutely embarrass us on Sunday afternoon. And people looked me in the eye on this stream and said, you're at it. Not you, Mac, but people in the chat and in this forum and around in the Twitterverse and space looked at me and said, you're absolutely crazy. You don't know. The Commanders did this to them. The Commanders did that. We have a chance. Our defense is playing well. We're going to hold them to under 20 points or whatever it is. Blah, blah, blah. They came on here and they called me a negative Nancy. Hey, Adam, you're negative. You're negative. You're going to get the doors blown off. You're not even going to go in there thinking you're going to win. Guess what, folks? I hate to tell you this, and I hate to slap you with reality. I was correct. So listen to me a little bit more when I speak, because sometimes I see things that you may not want to see. And here's what we had to see on Sunday. We saw a team that was lethargic, that had no energy and already played like they were losing the game. Why? Because their head coach, that's right, their head coach said to the media, to Moose Johnson, that he wants to keep the game competitive by halftime. Keep the game. That's what you're saying? That's your thought process? I want to keep the game competitive. Guess what, Brian Daboll? You won 7 games and you were 6-2 out the gate. You know what that means? You're fighting for a championship now, whether you like it or not, whether you have the horses or not. Okay, you want teams to come in here and believe that you're a playoff team? Well, guess what? You got to have a better effort than that, because I am tired. Here's another thing that pissed me off, and I'm sorry I'm going on a little rant on my soapbox right now, but here's another little thing that pissed me off, okay? People all of a sudden are now like, well, you know, we lost. It's okay. It's not okay. The way they lost is the worst way they lost in the last 5 years, and we've had some shitty coaches in the last 5 years, okay? And this team lost worse than any of them. They had no effort, no lack of any. Are you kidding me? A drop punt, an illegal kick. I haven't seen an illegal kick in the history of watching football. And we had an illegal kick.
Didn't even know that was a penalty. Didn't even know that was a thing. I never heard of that before.
Exactly. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, yo, we had Richie James and Daniel Jones and the Three Stooges in the backfield last week. This week we get a freaking kick by our punter who drops the ball and looks at it as it bounces on the ground and then kicks the freaking ball out of and then it's like what am I watching here? It's a calamity of errors. Brian Daboll's not getting mad. He wasn't even mad about it. He's just like you put in Saquon Barkley and you asked, well, if you're good enough to play, I'm going to play you, and then you didn't play him for the second half of the game, but you left your quarterback in there to get his fucking ass kicked up and down the field. And we'll get to him in a minute. Okay, we'll get to him in a minute, because I am also furious about that side of the fan base. All right, defense looked like it was rag and tagged all over the field. Okay, I don't want to hear no respect about the Philadelphia Eagles. I am not a Philadelphia Eagle fan. That was in question last week for some people, because I went on a Philadelphia Eagles stream, who, by the way, AK brought me on and asked me to give my thoughts on the Giants. And because I was bashing our team on that stream, I became part of the enemy. Well, guess what, folks? I didn't need to bash the team. They bashed themselves on Sunday with that embarrassing performance. This is the reason why I'm hesitant to pick them to win on Sunday, because they came out with that lack of effort and they didn't even look like they cared on Sunday. All right.
They didn't. And that's what the worst part about it was. Like I said, we already understand the makeup of the rosters. You know, we understand that on paper it didn't look good anyway. But at the same time, you still want to see, like, look what we saw from the Houston Texans going against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. You know what I mean? Did they go in there feeling defeated before the game started? Hell no. And they damn near won that football game against a far superior football team.
And they have less wins than us. Exactly.
I mean, that's a team that we were able to take care of a little easier than the Cowboys were. So put that into perspective. Like, that's just that's what I'm talking about with football, man. These guys, even though the Eagles on paper are way better, and sure, I didn't really expect us to go in there and win the football game, but damn, But damn, I expected to see us look like a competent NFL team, and we did not. We went in there and like he just said, we accepted defeat. Once the Eagles drove that ball down the field on their opening drive, they just sucked all the life out of this football team. Whatever life this football team had, it was sucked out on that opening touchdown drive. That was already it. The score was only 7-0, and it was already over with. Just sitting at 7-0.
And some people said, well, maybe they're looking ahead to the Commanders game. This team can't look ahead of anybody. Okay, you can't look and say, well, we rested our players because we're going to. What do you think? You're the NFC champs? You could rest players in a game? Give me a break. Oh well, they weren't playing their offense in the second half. They were hiding it. No, they weren't hiding it. They were getting their ass kicked, so they couldn't do anything. It's not hiding offense. It's just putrid offense. Okay, you don't hide an offense in the NFL. The Giants have two moves. It's Daniel Jones running and it's Saquon Barkley running. What are they hiding? The NFL knows what's going on.
That's it. That's how you defend the Giants.
Right. Like people are telling me, oh, they didn't show anything like a preseason. Are you serious? What do they have to show? They can't even get out of their own goddamn way in a game against the Commanders, and you're worried about them showing stuff against the Eagles. The Eagles blew us up. Every play we had, every momentum was sucked out to life. Okay, we had one good drive, and then we had one gimme drive because of a freaking block punt that damn near went for a first down.
Yeah, how about that? We ain't talking about that one there. Yeah. This guy scoops the damn block punt up and damn near gets the first down. And had he been probably like a regular type of, like a running back or receiver type of player, had a little more instincts, a little, just a head for the first down marker, probably would have easily just gotten it. But him being a punter, he ended up stepping out of bounds a little short of the first down marker, saving the day for the New York Giants. I mean, just things like that. We blocked the damn punt, and the Eagles still almost turned that into a damn first down.
And that would have been one of the Eagle moments that we remember in the history of the Giant-Eagle rivalry, when it's like this. I mean, I'm sorry to keep talking, be fired up, but this irks me because the way we lost, it's not like we lost a game where, we were humming on offense and we're going up and down the field and making moves and things like that. We sucked on all three phases of the game. And we got gimme touchdowns, and then then guess what? We went to our bread and butter in the third quarter after getting drove down the field on a 7-minute drive to start the third quarter that they put in the end, that they kicked another field goal anyways. So now we're down 27-7, and we drive down the field and score a touchdown doing, Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, and that was it. Running the football, and that was it. But I'm over it. But I got a few other bones to pick about this game.
And before you do, I don't know. This is something I wanted to share with the audience, man. Before you get into anything related to our quarterback, I want to take them back in time, man. To my great co-host right here, giving an absolute on the money evaluation of Daniel Jones.
Mac, you bring up a great point with the quarterback. Because I was shopping one day. I was shopping in the grocery store, and I was going down the aisles, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm not going to tell you what place I go to shop because I don't want you stalking me out, okay? So I'm there. I go into the dental section, where the Listerine is, and I'm looking at the Listerine. I look at the price of Listerine. I'm like, damn, that's expensive. I want that. Why do I want that? Why do I want that big, sexy bottle in my cabinet? Because that's friggin' Listerine. And people are like, Adam, where are you going with this? Then I look to the right, and there's a knockoff version of Listerine. Got the same ingredients, not quite Listerine. That's Daniel Jones, okay? He's not quite Listerine, okay? We're sitting here wanting the best product, which is Listerine. We want the name brand product, right? Well, we can't afford it. So what do? We settle for the knockoff and hope that it's going to be just as good. Okay, that is my Daniel Jones premium take. I thought about that all week because that's who he reminds me of. When I sit there and I talk about Daniel Jones, I'm talking about a knockoff product. I'm getting sold a bag of goods. I'm getting the $3.29 bottle of Listerine that has the ingredients. It doesn't even say Listerine. It says Reen. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have the full letters, but it has the same ingredients on it as it normally would. And that's what I feel Daniel Jones is. He is the knockoff Listerine. And Mahomes and Allen are the Listerine. Those are the guys I want.
Exactly, Adam. I love that clip, man. Every time I hear that, man, because it's so spot on. I mean, it's true. I mean, like you got your Jordans, like Patrick Mahomes. He's your Jordans. You know what I mean?
Right,
And then you got your nice little Nikes and Josh Allen and Justin Herberts and stuff like that. But then you got your like pro wings and things. You know, that's Daniel Jones, the knockoff stuff, man. Like
the knockoff stuff.
Totally the generic version.
Wow. The folks, I did not know he was going to play that. It's kind of funny to think about now. And I'm going to go into Daniel Jones right now. So let's get into the quarterback, because right now he's polarizing both sides of the fence right now, right? People either hate Daniel Jones or you love Daniel Jones, right? And everybody who hates him is a hater of the team, and everybody who loves him is praising him like he's Joe Montana. Well, let me do a little story time for you guys. Do you mind if I read a story to you guys? You just listen to me talk about Listerine, so maybe you'll let me read you a little story. So let me preface this story by saying I get this information from a site I go on called Big Blue Interactive. Okay, don't be stealing my shit. All right, it's a good site that someone has kindly made as a fan. I've been on this site since 1998. Reading it, it gives you a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. It's an open forum basically, and somebody comes on there and they contribute to the site, and what they contribute is their analyses of football. He's a scout. His name is Dave Syverson. He's a scout for Our Lads. You can actually go out and buy his publication, and he scouts over hundreds of players throughout the year. So why am I saying that? Well, he does a game review or game summary for the Giants, right? And so he's an objective observer. He's not some content creator on YouTube telling you why Daniel Jones is good or bad because they've never watched film in their life or know how to study film as a scout. No, it's an actual guy who does this for a living. He goes out every day, watches film, goes on the road. So he watched the All-22. And I'm going to read you the blurb. It goes quarterbacks in this section. It's called the game review. Daniel Jones, 18 of 27, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 intercepts, and a 96 rating. Don't worry about all that shit. Jones also added 26 yards touchdown. Brian Daboll pulled him in the fourth because of the hits that were going. And, you know, he did not turn the ball over. He had an impressive string of passes, and he uses his legs well. Here's the part I want you guys to hear. In his assessment, paragraph 2, he goes, the deeper part of my assessment is not as friendly for Daniel Jones. Jones had multiple opportunities to show progress in an area where he has come up short on multiple occasions. He did not come through. Besides the quick fire, one read throws, I think I was talking about that. Did I mention those things? I'm not a scout, but I brought him up anyways. Anywho, Jones struggled to work his eyes and hips to the open target, meaning he wasn't able to make his moves. On 3rd and 10 from midfield in the second quarter, Kafka called a crossing concept. Darius Slayton going from left to right and Daniel Bellinger going from right to left. They intersected in the middle of the defense where linebacker TJ Edwards was in coverage. Jones did not make the read. Edwards read Jones like a book, and the pass ended up being near intercepted by 2 different players. Meanwhile, Slayton ends up wide open for a potential first down. These are the plays that Jones needs to be making by now. They may not mean much to some, but they're some of the most important make or break plays in the NFL games week to week. You can't have them all, but the good ones get most of them. Jones does not make half of them. Okay, this is an outside observer, folks, giving you his assessment of the game for a random fan site, a guy who actually studies quarterbacks. You can look him up. Dave Syverson, Our Lads, an actual scout. He's done it. I've heard him on podcasts across the board. Okay, this guy comes in and is telling you what I've been telling you about Daniel Jones since Jump Street. Things that haven't gotten done, and things that are still hindering him now? But yet, here we go. We're going down the rabbit hole. Sorry, Mac, I'm taking up some time, but here we go. I'm jiving right in, which leads me to the people on Twitter, the pros and cons of liking Daniel Jones. Those that like Daniel Jones don't give you any valid reasons outside of that he's a nice guy and he's doing well to keep him here. Meanwhile, those that hate, some of them hate just because they hate, and some of them, like me, actually give you facts. Okay? Everyone's telling me, get a number one receiver. Well, guess what? I got your case and point. You know how they ask you to get a case study for college to bring up references? Well, here, Jimmy G, that's my case study. Guy goes to 49ers, plays average with weapons that any quarterback would love. Kittles, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuels, McCaffrey, a great running game and a top-notch defense. Brock Purdy comes in there, and what happens? Has the same success. So is Jimmy G an average quarterback? If the answer is yes, then what is the difference? He didn't change his stripes. Those weapons didn't make Jimmy G all of a sudden a better quarterback. He was average then, and he's average now. Do you see where I'm going with this? So my point is, people are getting upset about, well, if we start with a new Band-Aid of a new guy, guess what? Brian Dable and Joe Shane, they may actually want to take their guy. They may want a chance to actually have a guy out there that they're studying, a guy they want to bring in. And Daniel Jones should not preclude them from doing that. Okay? I know people want to say, well, we need an assessment. You know how many games Daniel Jones has played in? He's played in over 50 games. 50 games. Let that sink in. You know what they're doing on Twitter? They're comparing his stats to the first 50 games of Kerry Collins. Did we not know what Eli Manning was in 50 games? Did we not know what Phil Simms and Kerry Collins were after 50 games? Don't give me this bullshit that he needs an extra year to prove what he can do. Okay, we know he can do, and that's not much. And if you need another year to prove that, look at another guy. Here's another fact, another nugget I'll drop for you. A guy who plays over in L.A., has long blonde hair, is pressured the most in the NFL, somehow is sacked less than Daniel Jones and still makes plays downfield. And has more yardage than on an Andrew Luck pace. His name is what? Justin Herbert. He's playing like the 6th overall pick in his draft. Not our quarterback who comes in every week average. Okay, I'm not trying to bash Daniel Jones. I'm trying to tell you facts, not freaking, blowing sunshine up your ass because he's a nice guy. Every day for all summer, we talked about it. We went on streams. You and me, Mac. We went on premium takes. We had numbers this guy had to hit for us to keep him around. Things that he needed to do. And what did I tell you? I said he needs to process better. Well, guess what? His processing is slow because he would have had first downs on those plays with Darius Slayton. He also missed guys wide open, and it doesn't anticipate throws. These are things that we're talking about. Okay, every day. But if I talk, God forbid, I critique Daniel Jones, it's as if I'm talking about Joe Montana. It's as if I'm talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Talking about the knockoff Listerine, man.
We're talking about knockoff Listerine. It probably doesn't even taste that good. It's probably watered down. Like, if you sit here and tell me that Daniel Jones is going to be brought back because he is playing above the X's and O's, you're bullshitting me. Because I'm telling you right now, there are guys open in this offense. Richie James, I'll go to that same site. Because that same site with that same guy, he also critiques the receivers. So let's go read that blurb. So maybe you can have some more insight as to where we're going. Where was I with that? Did I close it out? Maybe I closed it out. But I'll get it right back for you folks, and we'll get – here it is. There it is. Sorry, folks. I'm an old person, with these things here. Let me read you what he said about the receivers. You may like this. This is Richie James. Richie James' assessment. Richie James led the team across the board with 7 catches for 61 yards. He brought in a touchdown late despite taking a nasty hit to the head immediately. Watching the All-22 Watching the All-22 made something blatantly obvious to me. James is on a different level among the other targets on the team when it comes to simply getting open. While it is a strength of his game, the margin between him and the others in separation is enormous. Easy to see why he's the targeted more than others, and easy to see that is the one trait this receiver room needs to add in the offseason. I will touch on this below, but James was destroyed on blocking. Obviously, he's not good in run games, but it shows you that he gets open. Isaiah Hodgins, 4 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Nice work by him on the score where he quickly recognized a scramble drill. He got and kept leverage on Philadelphia's defender, used his body correctly and shielded. Hodges a nice underneath threat, but lacks the top-end speed early in the game when Jones took a deep shot. There is no final gear for this guy to get over the top. What does that mean, folks? He doesn't have the afterburners to be thrown deep. And lastly, but not least, Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton had 2 catches, but one of them went for 37 yards, the biggest play of the day. He added his 6th drop of the year, the 3rd straight season where he reached that number. Jones missed him open a couple of times, what I think would have been resulted in 10+ gains. Okay, so he's watching the all 22, folks, and he's giving it to you real. This guy has no affiliation with Daniel Jones. He doesn't have to say any of this. He's a guy contributing his thoughts to a site. So what does that tell me? The knockoff Listerine tastes just like it sounds. It's knockoff Listerine.
I mean, yeah, obviously couldn't agree more with that whole assessment right now. Daniel Jones. See, the problem is the kid, he can play good enough. And I want to go ahead go back to Authentic show on Monday. Shout out to Authentic. He had his overreaction show on Monday, and one of the questions he had brought up was if you took Daniel Jones and put him on the Eagles with all the weapons, would they still be 12-1? And I disagree with that statement because I don't think that they would still be 12-1. They'd still be really good. Don't get twisted. The Eagles are loaded. Daniel Jones, he's not so awful that they still wouldn't be a good team. However, they probably would only be about more like in the 9-10 range, 9-10 win zone as opposed to 12. You know what I mean? Because a couple of those close games the Eagles have had, Jalen Hurts was a difference maker in those games. He elevated the team and did what he had to do to get his team over the top. Things that Daniel Jones lacks. Things that Daniel Jones would not have probably been able to accomplish. And those would have just been bad days for the Eagles and they would have went down in a couple of those games. That's just my opinion of Daniel Jones. I feel like when you compared him to Jimmy Garoppolo earlier, that's exactly what we're talking about. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, the 49ers are constructed very well. They just need to get the right quarterback in place because with all the weapons they have, Jimmy G still can't seem to get that team over the top. And that is different because he's just an average guy, like you're saying about Daniel Jones. So I do agree with that. And it takes me a while to I try to, give all my heart to these guys, these New York Giants, because I mean this is my squad, this is my team.
Right.
I love them, man.
Right.
But
right.
at the end of the day, you got to recognize and understand when it's just not going to work. When it's not meant to be. And real quick before I move on, I want to say thanks a lot to Garrett Hudson. Hope I said your name right, man. I appreciate you subscribing, man. You're new to the thing. We do this every Wednesday. Me and my guy here, Adam Costas, man, be doing the damn thing over there, man. Over here every Wednesday, the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. So appreciate you tuning in, brother. Thanks for stopping in, man.
Boy, you said some good things there, Mac, but I want to conclude quickly with the last thing that I want people to say, right? And that is, you said moving on from Daniel. There is some backlash about that as well. Look, just because we're saying move on from Daniel Jones doesn't mean the Giants aren't going to sign him as a business decision to be a bridge quarterback for whomever it is, okay? If you can get an Anthony Richardson or you can get a guy here, and here's the other open-ended question that I need to get off my chest, is when somebody says, who are you going to replace him with? And then then you say the name and they don't like the name, right? Who are you going to replace Barkley with? Okay, you're going to tell me Gary Brightwell's as good as Barkley? Give me a break, right? You have no idea. We have no idea because we have no idea who's going to hit free agency, what trades are out there, what people are offering. So when you're having a Daniel Jones discussion, people, and you're bringing up facts and you cite, hey, Adam Costas brought up some good points. I'm going to use them in my next Daniel Jones debate. Bring up this too. When someone says, who are you going to replace him with? That's an open-ended question to try to trap you because they know they don't have an answer and you may not have a valid answer. And whatever answer they're going to give you, they're going to tell you, well, Daniel Jones is better than that guy. Well, how do you know? Of course, he's better than any rookie that comes in. That's an easy. See how easy that conversation works? Don't fall for that manipulation. What you need to look at is this, okay? They want to pick their guy. This is their franchise now. Dayball and Shane. They didn't draft Daniel Jones. They don't have to give two fucks about Daniel Jones. The people who give and there are content creators out there like, he's my quarterback, I'll bring him back. They're trying to compare him to Lamar Jackson. I'm like, you people are out of your mind right now. If you think that, and then the other argument is, oh well, you bring in Jalen Hurst here, he's not going to do well. Why wouldn't Jalen Hurst do well? Mahomes is a good quarterback. You don't think he'd figure it out? You don't think he'd make this team 7-4? Are you nuts? Are you kidding me? You don't think we'd have more touchdowns? You don't think he'd make Richie James, who's getting open, or Darius Slayton, who's getting open, more yards and have them eat? come on. If you're sitting there thinking this, you're getting brainwashed or brain fed into the narrative of Daniel's going to be better than this because of this guy has 4 years in the league, right? I asked a question on Twitter. I said, okay, Herbert, everybody thinks Herbert's a good quarterback. How many years do we need to find out if he's good? Like, we already know he's good. But this guy, we give a different timetable for Daniel Jones, who's played 50 games? 50 games? And you still are telling me, you're still sitting there as a fan telling me that you don't know him, you don't know what he's going to be capable of? Give me a break.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's at the point where you got to just realize it's not meant to be for Daniel Jones here in New York. It just is what it is. I mean, it's not. I mean, like you said, he may still be here next year, like you said, as a bridge quarterback. But Joe Shane, I'm almost sure of it at this point now. They want to bring their guy in here, and I'm pretty sure they're going to go after him, whoever that person is, very aggressively in this offseason, whether it's a rookie in the draft, whether it's somebody else that we're not even thinking off the radar right now, not even thinking about in free agency. Who knows what these guys got planned? But I know their plan is not Daniel Jones. I mean, it just looks pretty clear. I mean,
too obvious. I mean, come on.
Pretty clear.
They didn't even build their offense around him. They built it around the running back. I mean, come on. If he's this great player that everybody says, why is a guy who has no affiliation with the team, no affiliation with anybody, giving you down and dirty assessment of Daniel Jones in this game, telling you that there could have been things that I've been telling you since jump that he even said he hasn't corrected in 4 years? Why do I want to give that a 5th year? Why do I want to keep spinning my wheels with that? Now, I understand the business aspect of it, where you want to bring him in for a year as a bridge guy or a 2-year deal. Fine. You want to do that? I don't care. But in 2 years, 2025, I guarantee you Daniel Jones will not be the quarterback of this team. Hell, 2024 is probably more likely he won't be the quarterback of this team, because I could see next year them not feeling anybody and bringing it in. Me, I'd rip the Band-Aid off and say, fuck this shit. You know, because anybody who tells me that some rookie receiver that's going to come in here and go gangbusters, if you're not inside the top 10, you're kidding me. What receiver outside the top 10 has done that? And don't give me Tyreek Hill. That guy was a 5th round pick and nobody knew who that was. Right? You have Devontae Smith and Waddle doing it right now. You have Garrett Wilson doing it right now. Of all the other receivers, how many guys are really over the top guys? So you're now going to tell me, by the way, you have to fix the offensive line, which is atrocious. Matt Lewinsky, can I get my money back from the Colts? Because he's terrible. John Feliciano, you're going to need a freaking new center. All the guards we put in the left guard spot can't seem to work out with Andrew Thomas. Okay, so now you need 3 new guards. You're probably going to need a new running back. Now you have to get new receivers. So now you want to bring an older quarterback who's done nothing, and you're going to tell me all of a sudden they're going to elevate him? This team plays a harder schedule next year. Okay, they play the AFC East. They're going to play the whatever division winner they finish with, whether it's a 3rd or 4th, and then they're going to play another NFC East team down the road, and they're going to have 9 away games next year. So you're telling me now, if the Giants go 7-10 next year, that you're going to want Daniel Jones? What excuse are you going to come up with then? Oh, well, the receiver didn't play for half the week. Oh, the running back is not Saquon Barkley. Oh, the offensive line is this. How much more do I need to go through to this hell of a quarterback with every excuse in the book?
I mean, like I said, I'm at the point where I do totally agree. Like I said, I mean, we got to see make the best with him for the rest of the remainder of this year. Definitely. Right now, he's still our best option on right now at the position.
Unfortunately.
What's going on, Wales? What's up, Miz? Appreciate y'all stopping in, man. But we gonna have to see, man, because right now Daniel Jones is he just is what he is, and I do agree. He's not the answer here in New York, man. He is definitely not the answer. It's just not. He doesn't have the it factor to get us over the top, man. And this team's going to need, I mean, even once you add, like you said, some better weapons, you're going to still need a quarterback that's just more confident, man. And I feel like Daniel Jones plays with just not enough confidence. I feel like he doesn't put enough trust in his teammates. And I get it from one aspect. These guys let you down a lot. These were some of these receivers, some of the drops and stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to take the shots. Like you said, you got to take the shots. You got to at least attempt to take the shots and try to give your team the best chance to win, man. So we'll see. Yeah, Miz, I agree with that. I don't even know.
He's a return man for Richie James, who is in concussion protocol. By the way, we're going to get into the games now. I got off my soapbox a little bit. I'm sorry that we were a little long-winded on that, but I had to get some of those points, those talking points in. But he's just a guy that's coming in. Maybe he'll do better than Richie James. Who knows? But the leading target, Richie James, is out of this game. There are a lot of guys that are banged up. That the injury report's a lot longer than Washington's injury report. Let's just put it to you that way.
That's been a story of this season as well. Just
so McKinney and Jackson are not coming back. Jackson didn't practice today. McKinney's not even on the report. So I don't want to hear about him coming back this week.
Yeah, it's not happening. Having practice all week. So definitely not going to happen. And so it's just this pickup was just another example of what the Giants have been dealing with all season. You're picking up guys that are just like, who are these masked men? I don't even know who these people are, man. These are guys that were just bagging groceries a couple days ago somewhere, and now you got a phone call and say, "Yo, come in, man."
Not if you bag groceries. That's not a bad job. But I mean, hey, it's not the NFL either. So,
I mean, yeah. So, I'm not knocking all the grocery baggers of the world.
I can see how that conversation went. Hey, boss, I quit. Why? What's your job? I'm going to the NFL. I'll see you later. Oh, okay.
But yeah, this whole team was mad. But real quick, just on the Eagles, real fast, before we haven't really touched much on them and how dominant this team has been, man, all season long, and they imposed their will on the New York Giants on Sunday. Man, went out there, they knew they were better, and they proved it in every facet of that football game. Man.
Even when they made mistakes, they were better than us.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is the MVP of this league. I'm sorry. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is doing good things, great things as well. And I'm by no means saying Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying this season, how things stand right now, Jalen Hurts is the MVP of this league. He's just been
even over Mahomes.
Yeah, I think he's just been a dynamic game changer, man, this season, man. He does everything his team needs him to do, whatever it is, whenever it just doesn't matter. Nothing seems to rattle Jalen Hurts, man, in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I'm not saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes as a player in general. I'm just saying right now, currently,
most valuable player
season, he's the most valuable player this season. That's what I'm getting at.
I think you can tell we got to do like this. If you took Hurts and you put another quarterback there, do they have the same success? And if the answer outside of Mahomes and Burrow, but like you did the flip-flop, right? You did, well, if Daniel played for the Eagles, would they still be the same record? If the answer is no, then there you go. Your answer is he's an MVP. I mean, the guy has over 30-something touchdowns combined, rushing and passing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. I mean, Mahomes has 35 touchdowns, which is great, and 11 interceptions. This guy has almost 30 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but then he has 10 rushing touchdowns, which is kind of insane to think about. And there's still 4 games to go. Three and a half if you count that they'll probably have a half a game against the Giants the second half of the year. But we'll preface that game. But there's a couple games where I think he's still going to put up some more numbers. So we'll see. I think I hope the MVP is not a popularity contest and they go for Mahomes because people just don't like the Eagles, and they actually see with the eyeball test how valuable this guy is for his team. And I know people don't like me saying that, but I have to call a spade, man.
Well, the thing with Patrick Mahomes, too, another thing for him in the MVP conversation is because obviously he's been the league MVP before. And that year, for instance, when he won the league MVP, which I think was his second season in the league,
yes,
his numbers were astronomical. Like they were something like, what the hell? Like, I mean,
we've never seen before.
His numbers are very good now still. Don't get it twisted. I mean, by no means, but it's almost like
they're not even the best team in football.
For Patrick Mahomes, as good as his numbers are, this is kind of like almost slightly a down year for him. Not a down year, so to speak, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
right.
We've seen Patrick Mahomes do like insane things, and it's kind of a little bit scaled back this year. Obviously, he lost Tyreek Hill in the offseason, but at the same time, I just feel like Jalen Hurts is elevating this Philadelphia Eagle team, even though they got all the talent in the world. It's still, but he's the glue. He's the guy that puts it all together. When things, like I said, the few times they've had struggles this year, Jalen Hurts is the reason that they end up pulling those tough games, like the Indianapolis game, the Houston Texans game, when they played the Houston Texans as well earlier this season and struggled a little bit early in that game. Jalen Hurts is the reason that this team is able to rebound. And then against Washington as well, they lost to end up did losing that game, but Jalen Hurts did everything he could to bring that team back. And he put them in position to get the job done. And what for Quez Watkins fumbling that football, they would have came back on Washington and they'd be 13-0 right now, to be quite frank. So
yeah, they don't make mistakes. I know people will say, though, Cade said something about most valuable player should be the team that's most valuable to his team. Okay, well, then I can put Josh Allen in that category. But is Josh Allen having the MVP-like year? No, he's not, but he's still having a tremendous year, right? Mahomes is having a tremendous year, but Jalen Hurts, what he has done from year 1 to year 2, and he has the best team. I got to give it to the guy right now that's navigating the best team. If they were neck and neck, fine, I'll give you Mahomes. I can with the flip of a coin at that point. But I just feel like Hurst, is doing things for his team that I don't think. If you take him away and you put Garner Minshew or some other guy back there, I don't think I think they still win and they're still a pesky team, but I don't think they have the success they're having right now without him.
And also, like the Eagles, they come into this season, they were expected to be a pretty good damn football team. Don't get it twisted, but not the best team in the league. Nobody expected them to be the best team in the league. They still were just picked to just be a good team, compete in the NFC. They weren't even picked to be necessarily the favorites in this conference. So the Eagles, I just think that you got to put a little more respect on that and what Jalen Hurts is doing. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes can't say anything bad about Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? He's the best quarterback in the NFL to me on his own, and he's completely on his own tier, his own level. Nobody's up there with Patrick Mahomes, but Jalen Hurts is this year, right now, currently, I just believe is just the most valuable player of this season. And that Philadelphia Eagle defense also, man, let me tell you, that defense is also just as ferocious, man. They can wreak just as much havoc on that side of the football as they do on the offensive side of the football.
It's 7 sacks. 7 sacks. Let that sink in.
That pass rush is real. They got some big guys back in the middle now that have shored up that run defense. This team has answered everything they've had. Every time they've come across any kind of problems this season, they figured out ways to solve them, and it's been absolutely spot on the money. Like I said, the only weakness this team's had most of the year was defending the run, and they seem like they may have found a solution to that as well. Everything it's been a lot better run defense for the Eagles over the course of the last couple of weeks since they've gotten these Linval Joseph and Dominic Sue in there, Jordan Davis back healthy. I mean, this team is just really, really good, man. I mean, they're good on the back end. They force turnovers.
I mean, they win. They won. They're 12. They're the best team in football right now. It's hard to kind of be nitpicky about things. You know what I mean? Like, I critique the Giants when they win, and I get railroaded for it. But this team doesn't really have that many flaws in their game. They know how to get over them. Like a block punt might have devastated many other teams, right? Or put another team back in the game. Nope, they just pick it up, casually walk down, score. Then on the ensuing kickoff, they run 65 yards the other way.
Yeah. Absolutely. But we can get ready to move on a little bit into the show, man. Get a little deeper. We can start talking about the games next week.
Yep.
And we'll start off. Michael, where we were talking about Philly, we'll stay in Philly, man. We'll go Philadelphia Eagles, man, traveling to Chicago, taking on them Chicago Bears, man, on Sunday.
You thought they beat us down.
This is another matchup that doesn't sit well for the Bears. The Eagles are just on a whole completely different level. The Bears are a team constructed similar to the New York Giants, a lot of holes at a lot of different places, and the Eagles will probably find out, like they do against everybody else, a way to exploit them. Now, the one thing I will say will be a little bit different for the Eagles, though, is defending Justin Fields is not the same as defending Daniel Jones. So that is the one thing that could potentially, had the Eagles a little bit, little disarray, but I think the Eagles will figure a way out to figure out a way to counter that, whatever Justin Fields is going to try to do. Who Justin Fields, by the way, has come on in a most phenomenal way over the course of these last about month or so of the season.
So let me ask you this question, Mac, right now. Justin Fields, in this offense with this team, do you think he's roughly the same record, or they have some type of we've won some games with Justin Fields? Because I feel he could play in this offense because Daboll's doing the same thing with him as they're doing in Chicago.
Yeah, see, that's tough because I don't. It is tough. But Justin Fields on this offense, I feel like he's a more instinctive runner than Daniel Jones. So it's like I don't know. I think he probably would have. He would take advantage of some of the opportunities to run the football a lot more instead of just sitting there and necessarily eating and taking bad sack after bad sack sometimes. So it's tough to say though. I don't know because Justin Fields and me still has to show me a little bit more for me to really know how to rate him as what he's going to potentially be. But it's tough right now. He's in his second year in Chicago. It's tough to get a real gauge on him. They haven't put a lot around him. They didn't do much for him this past offseason. And but he has come on as an individual on a bad football team and has been responding with some really, really good games over the course of the last month. So I think this team could be about the same with Justin Fields on it right now, at the very least, about the same. I'm not going to necessarily say we'd be any better, but probably at least about the same because I'm still not all the way sure what Justin Fields truly is. I think right now, but he is using his legs. His legs are definitely a weapon. And not that, I mean, it's a different kind of weapon than with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones can run the football too, but mostly, design runs for Daniel Jones. He doesn't really do the scrambling thing as well, or Justin Fields can. You get dropped back in one-on-one coverage against Justin Fields, man. And without having a spy on him, he's going to make you pay for it. So
yes,
and I just see that one big difference with him and Daniel Jones. So I don't know if Justin Fields is here right now in this offense. I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think we're gonna. I think the way that everything is still constructed, he still have some of the same problems he's having in Chicago. As you see, he has a lack of talent over there too, as well, that he's working with in his specialty positions and such. So I think he'd have some of the same struggles here as well.
I think to me, quickly, one, Eagles are going to railroad this team, but two, Justin Fields, if you put him in this offense, I think has similar numbers if healthy as Daniel does, right? Because I think they're going to do Daniel's doing 1 read, 2 read, quick game. That's exactly what they're doing with Fields as they get him better and more adapted to the tree, right? The one thing that he is better is he's a better athlete than Daniel. There's no knock on Daniel. He's a solid athlete, but he's a better runner in that regard. And he had one of the best games this year as a quarterback running the football. Didn't have over 180 something yards or something close to it, like him and Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely did. Yeah,
right.
He
So
had 200 yards rushing.
Right. So those are the type of things that I'd like. That's why I'm intrigued with what Daboll could do if he got his hands on a guy that he liked and a guy that was a little bit more athletic than Daniel. I can't wait for it. But I don't really have much on Philly. I think they're gonna blow the doors off this team too.
Absolutely agree. I don't see this being a competitive football game. I think they're going to go into Chicago.
I will say this. I think Chicago will come out better in terms of spirits than the Giants because I think the Giants came out flat. And that they just showed. I think the Bears will get the doors blown off, but they may have a little bit more spirit coming out.
That's true, like I said. And like I said, I think, like I also mentioned, I think defending Justin Fields is a little bit different than defending Daniel Jones. So They're going to have a few struggles with him. It's not going to always be easy with Justin Fields. He's going to make plays with his legs. It's just what he does, But that Eagles pass rush is ferocious. I just think they'll figure out a way to counter whatever Chicago has up their sleeve, man. Because they just don't have much. They just don't have much, to be honest. Other than Justin Fields offensively, they don't have a whole lot after that. Darnell Mooney's a pretty good receiver, but I'm not convinced.
Don't they have Chase Claypool?
A legitimate number one. Oh yeah, I forgot they did get Claypool in the trade, but he hasn't really done much over there yet either.
Yeah, you got to learn an offense. You go from Pittsburgh's offense to this one.
I get it, but I mean they do have a couple good, decent running backs. David Montgomery's not bad. He's not.
Let's see what they do this offseason. I'm intrigued by them.
Well, if they have to this season offseason, they got to make a commitment to get some help for Justin Fields because they didn't make that commitment last offseason. They did a lot of head-scratching moves, things that didn't really make a lot of sense.
Well, they also are a new regime, right? So it wasn't like this will be a regime going in. They know their quarterback's Justin Fields. They don't need 50 games to evaluate that.
That's also very true. So we will move on from that one. And now we got the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Dallas Cowboys. How do they get the
Oof.
Jacksonville
Oof.
Jaguars a week after they get the Houston Texans?
Oh my God! I
But
mean, look at that. The Eagles get the Giants, and then the Bears, and then the Cowboys get the Jaguars. This could be a trap game for them. Looking at that
it could be.
Philadelphia game, right? Because they had a little struggle with the Texans, and I think they're overlooking them a little bit. They probably will come out a little better. I'm going to give them the W here. But the Jacksonville Jaguars will put up some points. Trevor Lawrence is really coming on strong. The Jets are really kicking themselves for not, losing out and trying to get that guy. He's really improved his game a lot. Again, they don't need 50 games to evaluate him. He's starting to be tell him something. Hey, Doug Peterson knows what he's doing with quarterbacks down there, huh? So, we'll see what happens. I could see this being a tight game and then the Cowboys pulling away, kind of similar to this game, only the difference between them and the Colts really have no offense. This team has a bit of an offense, and they're kind of sneaky good on defense. So we'll see what happens.
They just beat the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. They beat the hell out of them too. That game really got away from Tennessee, man. Especially in the second half of that game, I believe that. I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like that was maybe a career game for Trevor Lawrence as well. He played out of his mind. He had a really phenomenal football game.
I think it's starting to click for him a little bit.
And even got our old Giant buddy involved in that game. Evan Ingram had a hell of a day.
Right. That's what we hoped. We only hoped. Oh my God! Bring him back! Bring him back, please! Don't bring him back. Okay. Good job for him.
That was his first really good game all season. I know.
Right.
I know for reasons that I'd rather not discuss right now, fantasy football. But but that was his first.
Every week, folks. Every week.
I didn't even have him in the game on Sunday. I didn't even play him on Sunday. And he has a game like that. Exactly.
Oh, Mac, man. Whatever your instincts are going into the week, you got to do the opposite of that, right? So if you don't want to play a guy, maybe you play him this week.
But Trevor Lawrence did play out of his mind. And this game, if the Cowboys go in this game as flat as they did against the Houston Texans, they will lose.
Right.
They will lose.
Yes.
Because this Jaguars team is better than the Houston Texans. So they're
clearly improving.
Yeah, they won't be able to afford to go into this game in a similar fashion. They cannot look past this Jacksonville Jaguars team, which is hungry. And to be quite frank, if I'm not mistaken, they're still mathematically in it to win their division. I think they can still possibly. I think they're still in it possibly to win their division. So they got stuff to still play for. This team isn't done fighting, and Doug Peterson knows what it takes. Like you mentioned earlier, he knows what he's doing with these quarterbacks. Apparently, man, because he's got Trevor Lawrence trending in the right direction now, man, and he's got a pretty good running back down there, and Travis Etienne. I'm not sure. I think he might have got banged up in this game on Sunday. I'm not sure about his status for this week, but
he's played pretty well too. Good two-punch. See, nice job by that regime down there, getting the 1-2 punch. Etienne didn't play last year due to a knee injury, but he's contributing this year, and I think the Jaguars are heading in the right direction. So
absolutely, man. But I believe that I still believe Dallas Cowboys won't be looking through. I think because of what happened to them last Sunday, they're going to make it a point to go in there and try to make a statement against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Take advantage of that nice weather over there in Jacksonville, and go. I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to win a still fairly close game. It's going to be a good competitive game.
35-28, something like that.
They still win by a touchdown or so. Yeah, I think, and we'll see. Obviously, I don't expect to see their new weapon T.Y. Hilton on the field on Sunday. I don't think they're breaking him out this week. But
here you go, 2 days of practice.
But we'll see what this Cowboys team can do, man. This defense, like I said, is for real. I think the defense, if nothing else, is going to come out and really want to make a statement. Micah Parsons and them had a rough day, obviously, by that vaunted Houston Texans offense going crazy on them on Sunday. So I think this defense is going to look to rebound as well because they did not play very well most of that game on Sunday. So,
and they need to keep pace because they have the Eagles, and I know they're trying to, that's the game that everyone's talking about. It's the 24th, so they can't. The Eagles aren't probably going to look over the Chicago Bears, so you better not look over the Jaguars, because if you want any type of meaning for that game to mean anything for you with 3 weeks to go in the season, you need to win this game on Sunday by hook or by crook.
Absolutely, and I think they will. I just, like I said, I can't really envision a scenario. I mean, the Jaguars play really good football last week against Tennessee Titans. That was a big game. They needed that one. I just don't think they're going to have enough in the tank to hang with the Cowboys this week. The Cowboys are going to come in looking to make a statement. I think they're going to make that statement, man, and get ready for the Eagles the following week. So, yeah, that's about all I got here, man, because we got a lot to talk about one more time with the big showdown game on Sunday night.
The probably most meaningful game in the NFC East.
This game was flexed into the Sunday night spot. It was not the original Sunday night game for Week 15, but the league foreshadowed. They saw, they rubbed off that crystal ball, and they said this is going to be the most important game on Sunday, Week 15. The New York Giants,
when they ended in a tie, that's kind of sealed it for them, because they knew at that point we were going to lose to the Eagles. So they're like, well, we know that the Giants are coming in 8-4, so they're going to be the same record. So let's flex this game out.
And this is going to be a title fight, man. Pretty much. I mean, this is going to be pretty much for your playoff life right here. I feel like the loser of this game can almost
kiss the season goodbye.
Almost forget about it. Yeah, pretty much almost forget about it. And because whoever loses this game is going to need a lot of help going forward the rest of the way to be able to slip into the playoffs. So this is going to be a big slugfest. On what's going on, Lou? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But this is going to be shut up the G Nation Inside Sports, man. Too, while y'all at it, man. Lou be out there doing his thing, grinding, man, giving you all that New York Giant content, giving you all the boxing and UFC content, man. So sub up to Lou, doing good things over there. Happy holidays to you too, brother. Appreciate you, man. But
Merry Christmas.
This game here, this is a slugfest right here, man. This is it. Sunday night football. New York Giants, Washington Commanders, Daniel Jones. It's time to get that damn monkey off your back. That primetime monkey off your back. And this is what I'm talking about with Daniel Jones this week. This has to be the Daniel Jones week. This got to be the week where he has to elevate this football team. We know they're going to come in with a game plan to make sure Barkley doesn't beat them. We know they're going to come in with a game plan to make sure Daniel Jones doesn't beat them with his legs. So Daniel Jones, you have to rise to the occasion. You got to rise like the Phoenix, baby. And you got to come out and you got to throw that ball down the field, and you got to stretch the field, and you got to keep these guys guessing, and you got to make some plays with your arm legitimately. You got to go out there and make a statement and you have to be the reason the New York Giants win this football game. You got to put this team up on your shoulders this week, because that's what it's going to take to beat this Washington Commander team on Sunday night. It's going to take that kind of effort from you, Daniel Jones. You got to play good, clean, smart, mistake-free football, but you got to make the plays that are there. Like Adam was talking about, you can't leave plays on the field this week. This week, you got to make those plays. You got to figure out a way to make them. And Adam, go ahead. I know you got something to say, man, because I know you don't believe it's going to necessarily go down that way.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that they win the game, but I think a lot of Giant fans, from what I've seen, are kind of putting this W in the win column before it even starts. And I'm looking at it like, well, the effort that I saw last week doesn't give me much hope that they're going to come out with much effort this week. And with Adoree Jackson being out, he did not practice. Xavier McKinney is out. He did not practice. It gives me a little pause to say, okay, I know what they're going to do. If you watched the game last time, there were some holes to be had for the Commanders. I know people are like, oh, it was a 2-score game. It could have been a 2-score game the other way as well, right? Let's not get it twisted. This team was that evenly matched that every little increment, like remember, Terry McLaurin they pick up a flag in the end zone. That could have been a touchdown there. Those 4 points could be the difference in the game. So what we got to avoid is we got to avoid the mental errors, the penalties, the mistakes, the pushing the team back, right? We'll see how Brian Dable comes out, because as much as I like Daniel Jones and I know that he plays well against the Commanders, maybe the Commanders come out in not their crimson colors, but maybe they come out in all black, because somebody's going to a funeral that night. So, and Daniel Jones might get confused because he doesn't see the crimson color, but we'll see what happens, man. Last time they were down in this building on a Thursday night, they had a chance to win. Darius Slayton had a drop. I need to see them be aggressive. No more take the reins off, right? Because it's been documented by me, by other people, by David Carr on NFL Network, and every analyst in there. They have handcuffed Daniel Jones for whatever reason. I know the reason. Mac knows the reason, but we'll leave it for whatever reason they've handcuffed this guy, which I don't believe they've handcuffed him. I just think he's not as smart as he looks, and they make it more simple for him so he doesn't have to get confused. If the Commanders have any chance at winning this game, they're going to have to blitz more. They didn't blitz much in this game. They didn't put pressure on the Giants in third down conversions. I'm worried about this Giants team because in 2 weeks, offense has struggled mightily. In the second half of the Washington game, they did some things defensively to change it up, but also in the game against the Eagles. The Giants, like I told you guys last time, for the Giants to win this game against the Eagles, they need to score on every drive. In this game, they need to be aggressive when they have the chances. Take the chances. Your life is on the line. Do not play for a tie. Do not play for a field goal. Play for the win. You're at 4th and 3 inside their territory, and you're down by 4 or 5. Do it, because I'm telling you right now, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, is going to be coming out in this game. You didn't see him much in the first game because I think they were trying to feel each other out and try to, this is the first time the regime change. It's not like he's playing the joke of a coach last year and Joe Judge in our building. He's playing Brian Dable. He's trying to see what the concepts are running. They've had a week to prepare, longer than the Giants had against the Cowboys, who, by the way, the Giants came out and didn't even really do that much, didn't look that good. They looked good for the first half, and the second half they went caca. This game against the Eagles, same thing. They're licking their chops right now in Washington, and it's going to be one of those games. And, hey, folks, you've asked for this. You asked for it in August. It is here now. Games that mean something in December. This is what you asked for. This is what you want. Let's see how they play out. And don't overlook the Commanders because you feel like the Giants are due for a win. That's not how this works. No one's due for anything. The ball is oval for a reason. It bounces funny. Okay? Nobody's due for a win. Just go out there and handle your business, and we'll discuss the playoffs going forward.
I forgot I was muted. I'm sorry. But the defense is gonna have to come out in this one, and they're gonna have to show. They're gonna have to show up too, man.
Can't give up 253 yards rushing. That's for sure.
No, and try to understand. Let me let you put your in on something. Defense. They got a guy named Terry McLaurin at wide receiver. He's their best guy, and I know they got a couple other good ones, but he's their best guy. Let's try to put a body on that guy. Let's try to understand that we need to figure out a way to bracket him and keep him under a little more control than we had a couple weeks ago.
And if they don't max protect the Commanders, then they're idiots because we got a couple free rushers there when they came. If they don't make the adjustments necessary to kind of combat what's here, and I think they're going to run the football. This is what I'm scared of, Mac. They're going to just turn to Brian Robinson and say, "Hey, listen, you're our bell cow. Take us home."
Absolutely, and look, I look for a lot of I look for the pass rush to be ferocious. Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau. They've been doing some good things these last couple of weeks, man. Together back, it's good to see these guys together on the field in sync. Azeez Ojulari has just been making plays. He was the only bright spot on Sunday against the Eagles. That was it. There was no other bright spot to talk about in that game on Sunday for the Giants other than Azeez Ojulari. He was the only New York Giant out there consistently making plays. So we're gonna need that kind of effort again against this Washington Commanders team. O-line is definitely not as good as the Eagles. So hopefully that'll open up some things for some more plays to be made in that area. The sacks, man, got to get home. Got to force Taylor Heineke to make mistakes.
They got 4 sacks at us as well. So it's not like You're playing the even team. If you watch that game against the Commanders, it's the same team. They had the same numbers at halftime. It would be fitting that they had the same score at the end of the game, right? They had very similar numbers. They did a lot of similar things. The thing that I worry about is the defense going over the top, right? Because the Eagles were the first team in a while to test us deep, right? And open up, like A.J. Brown is still running. I don't know what the hell they were doing on that play. He is still running wide open. And this game is, I believe, if I'm the Commanders, like I said, giving a heavy dose to Brian Robinson, which in turn is going to open up the play action game, which if you watch the last game, Washington did move the football up and down the field. They got bogged down a little bit, and then in the second half they kind of moved it, and then they got bogged down a little bit. I think you'll see them go for it on 4th and 3 inside their own territory. They're gonna bring. I'm telling you right now, I think they're gonna bring a blitz a little bit more to kind of pressure Daniel to kind of get the ball back and force some turnovers. Their team is rested, and Chase Young is coming back. I don't know how much of an impact we can expect out of him, but him being on the field does mean you're going to have to slide your protection a little bit, regardless of how good he may look, right? You're going to not want him to be, you're not going to be on his highlight reel. So look for them to use a tight end or chip, which may restrict the already limited offense, a little bit more, because the Giants, I'm afraid the Giants might play safe ball in this too, where they're going to max protect two receiver routes, maybe 3, do little play action bootlegs and things, and try to incrementally win and play it safe, because nothing this last 2 weeks has showed me that they want to play to win. All I've seen is a team that's been conservative and kind of want to hold the water.
This is different, though. This is different stakes here in this game. This is now you can't afford. You can't afford to be conservative like that in this one. You got to get aggressive. You got to hit that aggressive switch, flip it up, and you got to go for it, man. Like I said, you got to, regardless
what if it's costing you the game, Mac? What if this play puts your already weak quarterback who can't read the defense that well in a position to cost you the game? Because he cost us a couple games that we needed this year. The Lions game comes to mind where they tried to change it up. They came out and started throwing the football all over the yard, and 2 interceptions later, the game was already over.
I think you come out in this one, you got to be very aggressive. Myself personally, I know I might be in the minority group here.
Tell me what the first play of the game you wanted to run. Tell me that play.
But that first play, I want to see us come out. I want to see go back there, hard play action of Saquon Barkley. Get Daniel Jones, bootleg him out there in space, and have like Darius Slayton run the long bomb, man. I think if you come out there first play of the game with something like that, it will be something so unexpected from what you've seen from the New York Giants this entire season that it could totally catch the Washington Commanders off guard and just immediately make a statement to open this game up. If you can go out there and hit a home run right from the beginning, at this game. Because that's what it's going to take in this one, man. You can't accept the loss in this game. You have to figure out a way to win this football game. And dinking and dunking the ball down the field is not the answer. This offense,
because they're going to be aggressive. You know that.
That's exactly they will be. Heineke will be very aggressive, and I mean he's got the horses to definitely feel a lot more confident in that with that. But at the same time, But at the same time, I mean, Heineke is what he is. He's a backup quarterback. At the end of the day, this team has responded a lot better to him. However, you got to try to force this guy to make mistakes and bring him down to reality. Let him know you're a backup for a reason, kid. And you got to get him back, get him in that kind of headspace, and have him guessing and running around and just making mistakes, because that's what ultimately you can force him into that situation, and the New York Giants got to be able to do it and figure out a way to align the stars and make it happen. And with that being said, I think we are. I just feel confident for some reason in this one. For some reason this week, as bad as we've been these last few weeks of this season, as bad as it's looked for the New York Giants, I feel confident that we get the job done. I just think this game means a lot. And I think these guys are going to come out with a lot more pride and a lot more energy than we saw on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I think it's going to. I think they'll be up for the game. I'm probably going to pick them to win the game, but I'm not overlooking Washington. They had a week off. They're still a hot team in football. They haven't lost that many games. They know that their playoff lives are on the line as well because they lose. Maybe a team like the Lions or Seattle sips you know jumps them. And the only other thing that I will say that kind of concerns me is the mindset so far with the Giants. Every game the Giants have played since the Lions game should have been a playoff kind of feel, and they haven't been playing playoff type football. The Commanders, on the other hand, have played in playoff type games. They're doing what we did at the beginning of the year, but right now they know. It just seems like they know a little bit more what's at stake, and the Giants are kind of like just meandering around. What I don't like is that Leonard Williams is limited, that Josh Azudu is limited, that our secondary is limited, because I do believe, they're going to have some success running the football on us. They did last time. I think this time you're going to see more Brian Robinson and less Antonio Gibson. One, because Antonio Gibson's injured. He's a little banged up. He's limited. But because of what Brian Robinson was doing. See, if I am the Commanders, and I'm going to give you the Commanders' perspective from what I'm seeing. So even though you guys think I'm a diehard Giant fan, but I always look at both sides of the coin, and that's why some people don't like me, because I give it to you real. The thing about this Commanders team that scares me is their defense is still good. They're getting back a player that's going to help them as a chess piece, and I think they're going to change up their defense slightly, because there were a lot of holes that Daniel missed that they got away with on the All-22 if they hit him. I think now with 2 weeks to prepare and kind of shore up those things, Riverboat Ron is going to come out. He's going to have these boys just as fired up, if not more fired up. I wanted to give this game to the Giants in the MetLife Stadium. Right now you're going to another building in their building. It's going to be juiced. It's going to be jacked through the roof. But my point is that I feel like, to me, the game that we should have won was the game at home, and then this game we wouldn't have been worried about, because again we would have won the football game, and now we're fighting for our playoff lives. And what I saw last week gives me a little pause to have as much confidence as Mac does to just say they're just going to come out with a W. I want to believe they're come out with a W, but my gut and my brain are not aligning, and that's never a good thing. That usually spells trouble for the Giants. And I want to one last thing I want to say: if the Giants somehow do get the football, right? The last few games they've got the ball received to them, they lost, right? So if the Giants want to win this game, let's buck the trend. Let's win the coin toss, and let's not defer and have them kick it off, because the Giants were winning a lot of these games because they were getting the ball at halftime. Right, and they can make those adjustments and come out and do their lengthy drive and either come back in the game or take a lead. In the last few games, it's been the opposite, where the Cowboys have gotten the ball, the Commanders have gotten the ball, the Eagles have gotten the ball. So if the Giants want to win, and they will, and they do win, if they get the ball, if they're kicking off and they're getting the ball and Gary Brightwell's back deep on Sunday night, I'm going to be a little concerned because of the Giant trend, but it doesn't mean they're going to lose. But I just want to keep that in mind for you folks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just feeling the confidence, because I do hear what you're saying about them coming off the bye week and having extra time to prepare. But once again, divisional matchups, we're not playing against some guys we don't know about, man. Yeah, I get I think the bye week benefits them more in a way, just because they were able to get some guys healthy. Like you said, obviously.
And they get the state of the team that they just played.
Chase Young is going to be back in the lineup. I get it. They had a little more time to evaluate things. But at the end of the day, it's not like we're going to play against, like I said, some unfamiliar opponents. So to me, preparation is not really an excuse for the Giants. You still got to be prepared fully and ready to go against this football team. And just because they had a few more days to get ready for you, they're still the Washington Commanders.
They looked unprepared on Sunday, and that kind of effort,
they did,
and that effort will not be good. I'm starting to see some of the cracks.
Can't imagine that kind of effort in this game on Sunday night. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't imagine that kind of effort, because this game means even though that Eagle game was also important. Don't get it twisted. All games are important, but this game means so much.
Well, they better come out.
I can't expect them to come out lackadaisical in any kind of way against this Washington Commander team. They got to come out balls to the wall and ready
They're
to
on
get
fire.
after it. Ready to get after it. Straight
Like
up.
that's what I'm saying. If they get the ball, right? Let's say Commanders kick off, and I know I just said that little stat about the Giants not winning because they don't get the ball in the third quarter. If that happens, you gotta open it up. Like I would just let you have 4 weeks left of your season of your life, right? If you believe in Daniel Jones, your first play of the game is going to be what Max said. If you don't believe in Daniel Jones, the first play of the game will be a play action dump off to Barkley.
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much. I feel like you got to go right out there, right from the door, make a statement.
That's what the Eagles did. The Eagles did that little drop punt, right? We did that calamity of errors where the punter missed the ball like an idiot, right? Kicks it, gets the penalty. What did the Eagles do? First thing they did was play action bomb, touchdown. Like that's what they did. You got to do that. You got to be able to do that. They're writing a story. This DJ success at Washington. Something's got to give here. Something's good. There's so many factors that have got to give. Yes, I know the Giants have played badly on primetime, but DJ's done
got to win. He's got to win one eventually, right?
Well, he hasn't played well himself in primetime. Sans a few games.
I mean, he played pretty well in Washington on primetime last year. It wasn't not
on Thursday
remotely his fault. Yeah, it wasn't remotely his fault about that game in Washington a year
But
ago.
not every team is. Well, I'm not really worried about Washington because I have a feeling that they're going to have some success. It'll be the game next week against Minnesota. Because to me, this is how I evaluate it. I know that Washington's a team that he always does well in. And last week, the only thing that worried me is last week. The last time they played, they didn't really have that much success. So the Giants' offense is not going to change that much. I know people told me, hey, they're hiding things from the Eagles. No, they're not. They're not. They're not hiding anything. Okay? They can't hide anything because half their team is injured. So what are they hiding from? Right? So, that's what scares me a little bit. We'll see. Again, Jackson is a big injury. If he doesn't play this game and they lose, let's say the Giants lose, you IR that guy. Just IR him and say fuck it. Because at that point, it's like, why am I going to rush this guy back? He's our starting corner. If you win this game, kind of keep him out on the fringe to see what it does. Maybe you hold him out if you get to the playoffs. But I don't know, man. It's really this team is the running game is really why concern for defense is 253 yards last week. They gave up 100-something yards to the Commanders the following week, and they've had terrible trends of running the football for the last 5 games. Even in the Houston game.
Yeah, definitely had our struggles, and even in that Houston game with Dameon Pierce. I mean, he didn't go completely off, but he made some nice plays throughout that game as well. The Detroit Lions just ran all over us. That was an embarrassment. And, the New York Giants, was no secret. We can't stop the run, and we got to also have to tighten that up because Brian Robinson did have a very good game a couple weeks ago. We cannot let him have that kind of performance again on Sunday night. In
order for this team to win, Saquon Barkley the running game needs to get going because – regardless of what Daniel Jones is going to bring to the table, if we don't have a good running game, we're not going to have a good game plan, and we're not going to win the football game the way we want to win it. It's going to be a little bit more, how should I put this, precarious because you're going to throw the ball more. There's a conundrum that the Giants have. If they throw the ball 40 times, they lose. If they don't run the football, a certain number of times and get 100 yards, they lose, right? Now, yeah. It's just hard. They have more ways to lose games than they do have ways to win. And, they need to focus on those ways to win and just harp on them. And, I know that this is going to sound weird, but you can't win this game with field goals. You just can't. You're just not going to do it.
Definitely got to score touchdowns.
When you get opportunities, look what the Redskins did last time they played. If they had a touchdown, the game changes immensely. You got to score touchdowns. The Giants are probably going to average their 3 touchdowns a game. Just don't let the Commanders get a touchdown and a field goal more than you do. Because, I would hate to see the season go up in smoke after a good start. But, hey, the Giants are getting smacked down to reality a little bit. We're finding out a little bit more about this team, that there are a lot more holes than we need, than we anticipated. And we'll see if we can kind of plug up some of those things right now.
Look, the beauty of this game on Sunday night is you got two teams coming in here in a dogfight. Right now, they're both kind of clinging on to playoff spots right now. But the loser of this game most likely will be kind of on the outside looking in. Most likely, unless some crazy shit goes down with the other teams, you know, that are fighting for these same couple playoff spots. So you got two teams coming in that should absolutely be fired up. It should make for a classic, great NFC East matchup Sunday night, and we're gonna see who wants it more. That's what we're gonna flat out see. It's gonna come down to who wants it more. Two, like my co-host Adam has said, two very pretty evenly matched football teams. Washington is stronger in some areas. Giants are stronger in some areas, but these are two fairly evenly matched football teams, and we're gonna see who wants it more. Washington, one little nugget of just in case, probably will have no effect on this game whatsoever. But Carson Wentz has been activated from IR, and you think Heineke's looking over his shoulder in any way, shape, or form? You think that's going to affect Heineke in any possible way, knowing Carson Wentz is right there, looming to get back on the field? I don't think it will, but
if anything, it makes him play better, knowing that his job is, not secure, and that they are activating him. And we'll see what happens. I would not want to play Carson Wentz, and we'll see how the game goes. If they deem the quarterback is, hindering them, maybe Ron Rivera makes a move, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Those type of things scare me because if they put in Carson Wentz and you've game planned for, Heineke, right?
Different animal, yeah.
And you come in, and all of a sudden now the throws that you used to defend, now you actually have to play zone because this guy can throw 70 yards on a rope. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I don't know, man. It's one of those things. If he's having an abysmal game and he throws 2 picks right out the gate, you can see them probably. I would see them look and pull Carson, and maybe the wheels fall off the bus. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to try to put Heineke in that position. It is kind of interesting that they activated him instead of IRing him because maybe if he wins this game, they kick him back into the lineup and say, hey, listen, he gives us a better chance to make a run. If not, two things, if Heineke, it's just hard because, they're hot right now. They won with this guy. I think you got to let him play this game out and see what happens. And then you can decide from there what you want to do the remaining 3 games. If you want to evaluate Carson Wentz to say, hey, he's coming back, or if you want to just keep Heineke and say, we'll roll with Carson Wentz next year and see what we got.
Yeah, it's still Heineke. It's right now. It's the Heineke show, right? Taylor Heineke show. It's going to take him to come in here and really be making mistakes, like big monumental mistakes. I feel like from that to even worry about anything. This team has just gotten into a whole different groove since he's taken over the quarterback spot. They've been one of the hotter teams in football. And I don't see it'll take Heineke to play really, really bad for him to have to really worry and be concerned with Carson Wentz. I'm just not sure how that would affect him already being a backup quarterback, normally just having the starter back and knowing the starter's back and healthy at least.
Like I said, I think it's going to motivate him to say, listen, I want the job, right? If I'm Ron Rivera, I sit him down and go, listen, I sit them both down. I'm like, listen, I'm going to play Taylor, but you got to show me that you want the job. You got to show me this game that you want the job.
But that can go both ways with him because that could also him maybe start trying to force some things, trying to make plays that aren't really there just to, it could work a couple. It could. I
don't think he's going to play hero ball because he's done this before with Alex Smith. So it's not like Heineke is not, hasn't been in this position. He got to start in a playoff game. He understood. He got his job taken away last year. I forget why. I think injury and something else happened. And then this year he wasn't granted the starting job. So he knows his time is coming. Right. So, you're right. You don't know who's going to respond. We'll see. But I think he's done well now. I think it might get him a little bit more focused. If that focus leads to, more excitement and interceptions, well, let's see, I'm
hoping for that, man. And my official prediction is the New York Giants will find a way to come out on top Sunday night. I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. I'm saying it because I believe it will happen. The Giants have played shitty football for the last month of the season, and I think they finally get back on track at least a little bit for this week and get up for this huge Sunday night matchup on Sunday night and get the job done. And Daniel Jones gets that primetime monkey off his back in the city that he plays his best football in normally. So I just
we'll see.
See it happen.
I hope they win. See. You know, I want them to win. I can't. I want to pick them to win, but again, my gut and my brain are not aligning the same way. I have many reservations that I've had since jump, and that nothing has changed since then. You know, they've struggled with the same fucking issues for the past 4 weeks, and there's nobody coming across that line or through that door that's going to change that. So we'll see. We shall see. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you know, they're getting some guys back at key moments in their season, and they are getting rest at a key time where the Giants have been, you know, playing the last couple games against better teams, getting the fucking, you know, from the Cowboys to the Commanders to back to the Eagles, now back to the Commanders. You know, they played some tough defenses. That does take a toll on you, and to be a little fresh, you know, out the gate. And the Giants came out the gate against their team and won, you know, because they came out fresh, looking good. I think you're going to see some new wrinkles by the Commanders. Look for them to get Curtis Samuel more involved, and really try to make it a track meet out there. But we'll see. It should be fun. Prime time, you know. Bring flowers because someone's going to die on Sunday. So,
well, I definitely agree. And before we get out of here, wrap this show up today, everybody, we wanted to bring up a little topic about the postseason. And I think this is a good time to do it since we got a good amount of people in the chat. I would like to hear y'all opinions on this as well. The postseason seeding, I think, they needs to be looked at going into this offseason. I feel like they should look at it going into this offseason because I'm as a fan, to me, I feel like some things just ain't right. And it's going to be winning your division, I get it. That's automatic playoff bid. That should still remain as absolutely the same. Winning your division has to count for something. So I that's fine. Talking about this mainly because Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, who are going to likely make the playoffs and have a losing record. They should not be, but they should not then. They're awarded the playoff spot for winning their division. That's all well and good. They should not be awarded a home playoff game against a team that is better than them. A team that is better than them, for example, let's say who they would be playing against maybe first round. Somebody like the Cowboys maybe or the potentially or somebody like that potentially. The Cowboys are a way better football team. They should not have to travel to Tampa Bay in the postseason in the first round because your record should also have to count for something too.
Right.
You win your division, you get an automatic playoff bid. Fine.
But well, it does matter because the top seed gets a bye week, right? So why don't you make it, like you said, why don't you make it like, okay, you win the home game. I mean, you win your division, you get a playoff bid no matter what, right? No matter what. And then you can even decide the seeding right there, right? They make the playoffs. Maybe that team should then become a wild card team, right? And play, like you said, at home. I don't know, man. I just think you should do seeding by record more so than division, but when you win your division, you should be awarded a playoff spot, you know?
Yeah, that's what we're getting at. So love to hear some opinions if y'all got some opinions in the chat about that. I mean,
almost like college football to a degree, right? Because think about it, they play for record for national title, right? So the best team, they do a stupid point system, which kind of dumb, but your record should mean something, right? So that means you strive your best. Like, listen, some divisions stink, right? So you're going to get a team in there that sometimes shouldn't be there. But let's say Seattle. Now, if you put them on the road, I don't think we have the miracle that is Marshawn Lynch's beast mode run. I don't think we have that. But in the same token, you know, if you're in New Orleans, that's a totally different ballgame. And now New Orleans, who's a wild card team, who earned the right to play at home because guess what? Their record is just better. Maybe they go on to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, I agree. That's what I'm getting at. Like it's one thing winning your division means something that gets you in the playoffs, but like you said, what are you playing for to have a good record if you got to still go on the road against let's say the Tampa Bay is going to end up probably at best maybe 7 wins maybe at best. So it's like you got to go on the road against a team with a losing record. just because they won their little sorry ass division. Like, come on. That to me is not right. It's happened a lot. Like you say, you talk about the Seattle time. It happened to the New York Giants before against this same Tampa Bay Buccaneers team way back when in 2007 season. The New York Giants had a better record, had to go on the road and play in Tampa Bay in the wild card round. And sure, we still won, but that's not the point. The point won because we were the better team. But the point is, it shouldn't have to be like that because your record should mean something as well. So once you get the teams to set for the playoffs, and then like you said, you got to have the records have to then align, and they should go by the record as far as who's hosting these games.
Well, check it out, right? If you lose, right? So let's say Giants made the playoffs and lost, or one of these teams make the playoffs and lose. Your draft stock now doesn't go by your record, right? Every other team, half the teams, it goes by record. The worst record gets this draft pick, and then so on and so forth as you go down to the draft. Once you get to the playoffs, the record is kind of irrelevant unless you lose, unless a team that you're losing has a worse record. So let's say Tampa Bay lost the game. Right, and then another team over in the AFC lost the game, who's next in line, right? So if we're playing for a record that way, why wouldn't it be the same way for the playoffs, right? You earn your record, you earn your spot, you get to dictate kind of where things go. Now, again, it's funny because if the Cowboys win, right? Let's say the Eagles got upset by Minnesota or another team, then the Cowboys become the number 1 seed, right? Because right now Minnesota is going to be number 2, but the Cowboys beat Minnesota. So if Minnesota ends up losing a couple games down in this 4-game stretch and end up the same record as the Cowboys, let's say at 13 and 12 and 13 and 4 or 12 and 5 or whatever the case may be, and easily Minnesota, who just lost to Detroit at 10 and 3 now, can also be same record. Why wouldn't the Cowboys now be number 2 and Minnesota, who still won the division, now go down? Now the Cowboys are playing as a wild card team. They have to travel. Doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever, man. I mean, I see what Reddy Red saying in the comments. He's a Cowboys fan, saying he'd rather be on the road. I mean, okay, that's your opinion. That's fine.
You sure you don't want to be in Jerry's world with 90,000 people rocking for a playoff game?
But at the same time, I mean, it's like, what are you playing for to be 12 and whatever or 11 and whatever, and then you got to go on the road against a 7-win team in the playoffs?
Or you're the 7th seed, right?
Yeah, Tampa Bay a couple years ago had to come up here and play Washington. When Washington won the division a couple years ago.
Right, exactly. When they won the Super Bowl that year. With the losing record, they had to come up here on the road and play against the Washington Commanders. So it's like, I mean, at the time, the Washington football team at that time. Yeah, I don't even know what they were.
They were there.
They might as well have called their team like the Princes, right? Or the team that will be formerly known as the Redskins, or you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like when Prince changed his name, the artist formerly known as Prince. This is the team formerly known as this name. That would have been a better name for them.
I mean, I get it, man. I get it, bro. I mean, like that 2007 season we were talking about, the New York Giants obviously had got the moniker as the Road Warriors. They played much better on the road as well that season. So playing on the road might have benefited the Giants on that playoff run as well anyway. But I still feel
you never know. I think destiny sometimes plays a hand in this. I mean, the second Super Bowl, they played a wild card game in their building. Right, and the crowd was
against the Falcons.
Right, and I think they had a better record than the Falcons, but
they did.
So they earned that right, and that team was there, and it kind of catapulted them in, right? So then the Packers that year are 15-1, and they have home field advantage, and they had a bye week. What I think is interesting is this, right? Since the new playoff format was implemented, and 2 teams don't get the bye, this might actually work out better. What we're talking about, since the first team always is going to get the bye. So then it should be, like you said, first, the best record in the NFL gets the bye. It doesn't matter if you win the division, because obviously they won the division, but the Eagles are getting, right now, as it stands, getting the bye, right? Then I think it goes Minnesota is number 2.
Dallas is number 2. They got the tiebreaker over Minnesota.
Yeah, but Minnesota goes to division winners first. Right?
Oh, that's right. Shit. Yeah, exactly.
So the Cowboys aren't.
I forgot about that.
Right. The Cowboys aren't 2 right now, so it'd be Minnesota's number 2. It'd be the team in the West, the 49ers at number 3, And then the lowly Buccaneers at number 4. Then the Cowboys are the first wild card team because now it goes for record, right? So they're 10-3. They're 5. 6 is right now technically Washington is 6, and then the Giants hanging on by a thread is number 7, who now go to Minnesota after playing them 2 weeks prior in their building. So there's a lot at stake here, but I think the Cowboys, if they beat Minnesota, shouldn't that mean something?
I mean, it should. That's what I mean. All these things should factor in. That's what to me personally, but we'll see, man. I mean, maybe somebody from the league is watching, they hearing this, and they're having off-season.
That's right.
Meetings.
Roger Goodell, you hear us. I know Vince McMahon's listening to us, so I definitely know Roger Goodell's probably tapped in. You probably have hashtag NFL on there. He's like, look for any hashtag NFLs. And he's probably in New York City looking at right now all these dumb streams going, these guys are stealing our copyright. Ooh, that's a good idea by those two idiots. Like they're having owners meetings right now, right? This should be brought up. They're talking about roughing the passer as possibly a reviewable play in the NFL. Which technically is going to draw a lot of red flags. No pun intended, because
they're also talking about ejecting players for roughing the passer. They're talking about that now as well too. And I'm thinking they're trying to make it impossible to play defense. I feel like that's what they feel like.
Well, no, listen, I get what they did, because back in the 90s, when quarterbacks were so prominent, a guy blew out his knee, your whole season was messed up. Now what you're seeing is backup quarterbacks are being invested in, and seasons aren't going down the toilet as they were back in the day, right? So what the league needs to start doing is making defined rules of what rushing the passer is. Okay, if you did what Tony Saragusa did to Rich Gannon in 2000, where 380 pounds just landed on a guy's shoulder, yeah, that's a flag for roughing the passer, right? Guy's injured, everything like that. If you hit the quarterback in the head, yeah, roughing the passer. But if you knock the guy down in a regular football tackle or something like that, or there's a violent collision and the guy is bracing himself, you should have some aggressions, right? Because some of those roughing the passers kill drives, kill momentum, could add, a sack onto somebody's record and really play with the game. But then the red area becomes, well, if you can challenge this penalty, why can't you challenge the holding penalty, exactly. On this thing, right? So then you get into that area. What the NFL needs to do is, instead of saying it's a replay, have an official in New York watch the games, right? And when there's a roughing the passer call, they can easily call down in New York whether the play is good or not, right? You can easily call in New York and say, that fits within the letter of the law of tackling a quarterback. It is not roughing the passer. Pick up the flag, right? So then they pick up the flag. But then if there is a flag throw, now they can't do the reverse either. They can't buzz in the guy's ear and say, you missed that. It's just got to be, if there is one, the replay team in New York looks at it and then can buzz into that official and say, no, that wasn't roughing the passer. Yes, that was roughing the passer, and call the penalty. Because what you don't want to happen is that ref who's watching the game now go up, throw the flag, you missed 15 yards, because that's eventually what's going to happen is people are going to want to call for that. And they're like, well, you missed the roughing the passer 2 plays later. No, you still have to be able to kind of make it organic. And I'm not saying to do that with every play, because like holding, if holding's on the backside of a play and that guy is not doing that, are we really worried about holding? Like, is it like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, holding.
Here's some reality. There is holding on every single offensive snap in the NFL. Right. I'm sorry. Every single one. There is some degree of holding on every single offensive play in the NFL. Referees pick their times when they call it.
Exactly.
Sometimes they call little chintzy ones. Sometimes they do call like really egregious ones. Sometimes they miss the really egregious ones.
Right.
Whatever. But there is holding on every single play. There's no perfect blocking going on where somebody ain't doing some degree of holding.
Right.
That's just how it goes down.
But that's what I mean is, holding used to be to the letter of the law of people who don't know. It's when you affect the play. So if a guy's on the backside of the play and the play's not over there, is it really necessary to call holding on that play? Now I get it for receivers and stuff, because you don't know where the quarterback's going to go. So I get that if a defensive back is holding on a play like that. But on the offensive line, if a guy's on the other side of the field and the play is not going to him and he's 20 yards the other way, are you really going to just throw the flag sometimes? I think these officials, You know,
Sometimes they do though.
Well, that's the hard part. Is like at some point, like it's almost like a police officer. Do you want to give this person a ticket, or do you not want to give them a ticket? Right? Somebody speeds on by, you're going to be like, the next speeder I catch, I'm going to drive after. Right? The next guy comes by is going 5 miles over. You want to make a point of it, so you go and nab that person who's not even really speeding that much, just to be like, well, I need to, make my quota. That's kind of how the officials are, right? They're like, I don't really want to call here, but I'll call it right there. You know what I mean? So I think what needs to happen is A, full-time officials need to happen. B, they need to make it available to certain penalties that are game-altering penalties. You're not going to see roughing the passer in the playoffs the same way called in the regular season, because they know that could change the whole momentum of a game.
I mean, what's going on, Chris Bucco out there in the chat too? Good to see you, man. Happy holidays to you, bro.
How are you?
I didn't see that Justin Herbert roughing the passer, but I've seen some other really bad roughing the passer penalties all season long, man.
Yeah.
And some of them have affected games, man. And they got to just figure out a way. These quarterbacks, I understand you want to protect the investment of the quarterbacks in this league, but this ain't two-hand touch, man.
Right,
this ain't flag football.
Exactly.
You know what you're getting paid a lot of money for a reason, because you're putting your body on the line out there, man. And if you can lay a wide receiver out coming across the field, you can't
do that now.
Well, yeah, you can't even do that. But if you can, you can just tear in to the running backs. They're all players out on that field, man. They're all susceptible to the same thing. I understand you don't want to take cheap shots, but you can't let these quarterbacks. You put a finger on a quarterback's helmet, and they're calling roughing the passer.
Right. The problem is that they're trying to emphasize safety, and you're overemphasizing the safety, which you're making the game like a bunch of padded, like how you play sumo wrestling with those suits on and people run into each other and kind of bounce off. That's how football is going to be played on the offensive line. So you're just going to dress them up in sumo wrestler outfits and kind of have them just crash into each other. If you don't want holding, that's the best way to do it, because there's not going to be. You have to then use your body and what you got. So my point is that this game is a violent sport. They like to keep the violence in the sport, but then they want to, regulate the violence. It's like you either, like sometimes when they call that, illegal helmet hit, you got to watch that that's where you go to replay and see, like, was it targeting, or was the guy trying to brace for the hit and then his head went down and your head accidentally hit him? If he was standing up, that would have been a good play, right? Because sometimes that happens too, right? You get the helmet to helmet, but it's like, why is it a helmet to helmet when the guy on the other end is bracing for the hit and you're going in at the strike point, which the strike point is your chest, right? But now you're compressing that chest on the other end. So now the strike point gets lower and your head gets hit. Now you're calling fucking, roughing the passer or illegal helmet to helmet hit. And you're like, but the guy has no strike zone. So, you can't, it's very fitting. Sometimes you just got to let the violence play out,
It's a gray area. It's like when quarterbacks are running, and they can slide, and then the guy is already diving in and he makes contact with the quarterback, and then that's a whole other thing. I mean, this is football, man. This is football. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I just don't know.
Listen, so it's like a Cam Newton, right? Certain runners get certain preferential treatment and others don't. Cam Newton got absolutely destroyed as a runner because the problem is that he was 230 pounds and a DB would come up and lay a hit on him and he run the DB over and they'd call a play on him, right? But then a linebacker hits him in the pocket or something, right? And it just was like one of those things where they just bludgeoned him. But then Aaron Rodgers, who's a star, gets a fingernail to the fucking, like touched on the head, and they're like, oh, roughing the passer. So it is favoritism. Like Daniel Jones gets fucking absolutely annihilated. Not one time they call roughing the passer for that guy, right? Not one time. And I don't even like Daniel. I know that they don't, call roughing the passer. Jalen Hurts still call roughing the passer for. They'll call it for other guys. I think it's one of those things. But you really need to get the letter of the law, right? So that's what needs to happen. If it falls within the letter of the law, and don't make all these bylaws and bylaws, just kind of condense the playbook. This is a catch. Like right now, we don't even know what a fucking catch is these days, right? Because if you go on the sidelines and you do the toe jag swag, right, and keep 1 foot in, you're in, right? But if you do like one knee, you're in. It's like, well, how is that any different? Like a guy caught the ball, he put his toe down, right, but then his foot came down out of bounds. but yet his toe came down. But if he had dragged his toe and stood on his toes and fell out of bounds, that's not an illegal play. Like, how does that happen? Now they're like, well, if the ball's trapped under your hands, it's like it's either A, it's a catch, or B, it's not a catch. Like, it's not like, well, you know, the ball. You can clearly tell when the ball touches the ground or when a guy has his hands under the ball and it, you know, like Bernie Manuel, clearly his hands were both there and the ball kind of touched the ground. Only the tip of the ball touched the ground, not even the whole ball. And they called it incomplete. That's the reason why they called the Bernie Manuel rule, because in 2001, when the Buccaneers were playing, or 99, I should say, when the Buccaneers were playing St. Louis, it might have been 2001. When they were going to the Super Bowl, in the dome, Bernie Manuel caught a pass from Sean King, and it went under his belly, and he caught it, but the tip of the nose of the football just graced the grass, and they called it incomplete. Right? So now, so now anyone who traps the ball, or does, like, to me, like, there was a play where the guy caught the ball, and then he toe drag swagged, and then he hit the ground. The ball hit the ground, but then it juggled, and they're like, it's not a catch. But I'm like, did the ball hit the ground? No, because you say the ball has hit the ground, but yet the guy catches the ball, has control, falls to the ground, the ball goes up in the air, he catches it back, and then you're like, oh, it's an incomplete pass. I'm like, he did exactly. If the guy catches it 2 feet and steps out, then the play is over. So I don't understand sometimes these rules and what they're doing.
Look, that catch rule is that's a whole nother animal. I can't even begin to tackle that right now. That rule is just too many gray areas with the catch rule anymore in the NFL, man. What's a catch? What's not a catch?
Right. Well, it's happening. What's happening because of the end zone right now? Guys are catching the ball in the end zone, but getting hit, and the ball's coming out, but their feet touch the ground in the end zone. The ball crossed the plane of the goal line, and they're saying it's a touchdown. But meanwhile, the guy, you know, on the other end does an out route to the sideline, and it's you know, it's all this stuff. So they need to just clean up the rules entirely. That's it. Just make a list of rules. Say, if you see this, good. Use your better judgment. Don't be like, well, you know, make sure it affects the throw. Like, you know.
Well, everybody, man, this has definitely been another fun edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Me and Adam Costas coming at y'all each and every Wednesday night, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing the damn thing. Make sure y'all sub up to myself, sub up to Adam Costas, sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man, coming through, showing love, appreciating what we doing here, man. And we gonna keep coming at y'all the rest of the way, man, until there's only one team standing, you know. So thank y'all for coming out, and we will be back next week with another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up.
Have a good one.
Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.